Viewers and subscribers, welcome back to Beating the Press podcast. I am your host, Rafa. Now, coming up in today's podcast, we're going to be looking ahead, previewing the big matches taking place on the weekend. Arsenal face off versus Wolves, and Liverpool takes on Fulham. Now, joining me this evening to preview these matches and to talk some EPL football, we have returning to the podcast, Christophe.
Good to be back, viewers.
Yes, indeed, Christoph, a lot is happening, and it has been a festival of football thus far. I mean, Champions League quarterfinals, and we see four semifinalists emerging, Christoph. We also see Europa League elimination for Liverpool. Talk to us. What's your take on the European competitions as you have seen it thus far up to this point? Arsenal now out, Man City now out. Tell us.
Um, disappointing for the English teams. Probably especially for Man City, who lost that penalty at home. They should have been winning. I think Pep. This is one of those things where Pep should have tweaked his tactic, given that he knew that Haaland would have probably been marked out of the game by Rudiger. So some change should have been made there, whether it is that you tell Haaland to get more involved and drop deep to pull Rudiger out of position or something, but some change should have been made there. For Arsenal, the damage was already done in the first leg. Drawing 2 with Bayern was always going to be detrimental. They should have done the job at home at the Emirates. Um, that being said, Bayern got what was it, 1-0 at the
That's a
Allianz.
bullet header from Kimmich there, second
Late,
half
late,
strike.
late run from Kimmich, lapse in concentration in the defense. But that's all it takes, one. As for Liverpool, really Liverpool,
The damage was inflicted from the first round. I mean,
the damage
it
was
was playing
inflicted
for pride at this point.
from the first round. I don't know. I don't know if it was injuries or if Klopp decided that, hey, we're going to focus on the Premier League. But
No, I
Klopp,
mean, Atalanta came and took the game to Liverpool. It was just a clinical performance by Atalanta and a disappointing one from Liverpool. But from the first round, 3-0, it was a mama task, and any hope was, I mean, extinguished as the game went on. Early strike, but that was about it. Liverpool getting a 1-0 win, but too little, too late, in my opinion. So, Liverpool eliminated, Arsenal eliminated, Man City eliminated. Some big names have fallen in Europe
uh,
just over the course of this week.
all three have nobody to blame except themselves. And well, I guess they're managers, because I think the managers should take the blame for these eliminations. All three managers are at fault.
But definitely, I mean, it's usually the manager that has the last say and that gets the blame. Traditionally, I mean, very few times you hear players really being blamed for losses over a two-legged, quarterfinal leg. But definitely some disappointing news there for English teams. But I mean, congratulations to those teams that have moved on to the semi-final. Bayern Munich is now up against Real Madrid, Liverpool out, Arsenal out. I mean, Arsenal, with all the glory of their history, Christoph, they are yet to win a Champions League. What do you put that down to, Christoph? I mean, the great Arsenal have yet to hoist that trophy. What's going on?
I mean, Arsenal have been to, I think, maybe 2 or 3 European finals, they lost them. Hard to say. This season, I can put it down to, this is a team that is young to the Champions League. Not a lot of Champions League experience for them. So maybe next year they'll be better.
Possibly we can only hope. We can only hope. So all attention really now turns to the English Premier League for all three of these teams. Of course, this week's football action is a split. We do have some semi-finals taking place in the FA Cup where Man City takes on Chelsea, and over on the other side, Manchester United takes on a Coventry team. And of course, we have EPL action as well. The two big games are the two games we are looking forward to and will be looking ahead with. That being Arsenal playing away from home to Wolves, and Liverpool also playing away from home to Fulham. So let's kick things off, Christoph. Let's take a look first. Let's take a deep dive on that Arsenal Wolves game. I mean, Arsenal really coming off a disappointing loss in Germany, and of course, slipping up last week also versus Aston Villa. Can Arsenal bounce back now and add some pressure to Manchester City, Christoph, versus a Wolves team which hasn't won in their last four games?
Hard to say. It is this is a game that they should be bouncing back in. They should be winning, but we don't know what is the state, the mental state of these players and of the manager. So it could be a case where this is a game we expect them to win, but they come and they get defeated or they lose just because their mind is not in it, having lost last week and having lost to a Bayern Munich team that they should be beating. So it
So their
depends on
mental strength will be definitely tested in this one, then, Christoph. It's down
right
to that mentality.
down to that mental fortitude, and also I feel like this is a game where Arteta will potentially experiment again because since I'm expecting Wolves to potentially play a low block and try to play Arsenal on the counter attack. We saw Aston Villa do it last week. It worked, and we saw Bayern do it over two legs, and it worked. So that's what I'm expecting from opposition from majority of opposition for the remainder of the season.
Indeed. I mean, Aston Villa may have shown all these teams the blueprint, and but this is something I believe Arteta would have anticipated. I mean, Arsenal now under Arteta is not a very good kept secret. All teams are aware of the quality in this unit, and it seems as if they have found a tactic which has worked. As you say, it's really to defend deep and tell Arsenal, all right, come and break us down. We're not necessarily going to be playing any free flowing football. We're going to give you two banks of four. Can you get through us? And over the last couple of games, Christoph, it seemed as if the goal threat from the likes of a Saka, the likes of a Martinelli or a Trossard have really dried up. And it has been Kai Havertz which have come up with a goal or two. But I mean, Arsenal is really going through a little bad patch at this moment, wouldn't you say?
Correct. Um,
Indeed.
that that lack of a proven goal scorer has come to bite them in the last 3, 4 games. Not having a recognized goal scorer, somebody who will take those chances when presented with them, has been
And it seems
obviously
Jesus has been
devastating.
relegated to the bench as well.
Yeah, but Jesus
Or
was never a
he's
clinical
not the
finisher.
go-to guy.
I mean, he was never a clinical finisher. He has not played a lot of football this season. Kai Havertz has come in and has, basically made that position his own, which is why, it was so shocking to see him dropped into midfield last weekend and potentially what caused, the failure to beat Aston Villa, not sticking to what was working. And then later when it feels you modify it. Instead,
Mm.
Arteta, started with a particular formation, particular set of players, and then in the last 5, 10 minutes, you try to switch it to the old system to try and get away. It's not sensible, not
So
smart. I
are you anticipating then that Arteta will go back to the tried, proven, and tested methodology versus this Wolves team? Do you see him going back to a more traditional number nine? Maybe Jesus comes in for Kai and Martinelli may get the start again on the left. I mean, a three which did the business to some degree for them last season. Will you see a bit of rotation having now been playing in Europe, and of course, the mental fatigue as well as the physical fatigue, which may have taken a toll on this team. Can we anticipate some rotation versus what should be a fresh Wolves team who should be looking and rearing to go, really?
For me, I would continue with Havertz up front. Again, not that any of them are particularly clinical, but Havertz gives you that extra dimension of being able to hold up the ball. You can play it into his head. He's decent with headers. For me, Jesus needs to go out on the wing where he seems to be doing more damage out there and creating more space for players. up front he has been ineffective, and that lack of clinical finishing, that predator instinct is eluding him. I wouldn't persist with him up front unless I'm rotating, and I'm certain that we'll find the goals somewhere else if not from him.
So who should be the front three to face this Wolves team, in your opinion? What's your if you were the manager, who would be your front three for this
I
game
would
versus
I
Wolves?
would go with Jesus on the left, Havertz through the middle, and play Saka on the right.
And the midfield three remain as is: Jorginho, Rice, and
Jorginho, Rice,
Odegaard.
Odegaard. Right. Odegaard for me has to be the very first name on the team sheet every week.
Mm, okay, okay. So pretty much, it should be a standard Arsenal team in general, and of course, the back four should be the back four, except possibly a bit of rotation at the left back side. I mean, you're not a fan of Zinchenko, so should Kivior return?
I would
Or
I would I would restore Kivior to the left back position. He has played well when given the opportunity. He had, one bad game against Bayern, and it's not even a bad game. He was up against a winger who he is, probably unfamiliar with, and running at him with pace. So I didn't think he played poorly. Even though I think the tactic of bringing on Zinchenko was a sensible one in that instance, I didn't feel like Kibira played poorly and should not have lost his place in subsequent matches.
Indeed. Yeah, yeah. As I said, Arteta may revert to the try, testing, and proven method, but for sure, a win is a must. I mean, anything other than a win, then it's pretty much lights out, in my opinion. It's almost lights out already. The light is very dim with Man City now taking the lead in the EPL and now being eliminated from the Champions League. That's one less competition they have to contend with. And Pep pretty much can put out a full strength 11 week in, week out, going down to the end of the season. It's now, what, 6 games remaining. So really, there's no room for error. And anything other than a win for Arsenal in this match versus Wolves is really unacceptable, and that could be curtains for their season. And I mean, Wolves do possess a few threats, Christoph, especially playing at home. Cunha, the Brazilian, should be back in the Wolves lineup for this one. And he was off to a very hot start to the season. Got injured, went to the Asian Cup, and is now returning back to this Wolves team. Sarabia, a very technical player who plays on the flank, also could pose a threat to this Arsenal outfit. And defensively, they are not the worst team when it comes to defending. So possibly this could be a tight game. And if Wolves were to really take the game to Arsenal on the counter, as we saw Aston Villa in the previous game, then we might have a shock on our hands. But from a score point of view, Christoph, what's your take on this game in terms of a scoreline?
I'll go with a 1-1 draw or 0-0 draw.
So you're looking at a draw, Christoph, for this game, not an Arsenal win,
Potentially, we know anything other than a win means
right?
that any slim chance or a slim host they have of potentially winning the league is gone. But as I said last week, I think the league is already done. Man City is
Right.
not going to drop any points for the remainder of the season, so doesn't really matter.
You sound like you. I mean, from a fun point of view, Christoph, you sound as if you're already defeated in terms of the fan base of the Arsenal team. I don't know. I mean, if the fans are feeling this way, then this sort of emotion may very well trickle down to the players, and you might not be too off with your call of a scoring draw, 1-1 draw, or a 0-0 draw. I'm not sure. But for me, though, Christopher, I think Arsenal will bounce back. Wolves isn't the best of team. They have now, I believe, avoided relegation. So they are pretty much in that comfort zone. Players should be playing a bit with a bit more freedom. So while I do expect Wolves to score, being at home, potentially on one of those counters or from a set piece, I do expect Arsenal to come away winners. And for me, I'm backing the Arsenal to come away 3-1 winners, back to winning ways in the league and applying a bit of pressure to Man City. So for me, I think Arsenal should get a win in this game And my call for this one is a 3-1 Arsenal win. But let's segue, therefore, then, Christoph. Liverpool, the other potential challenger, our early challenger for the title, is in action versus Fulham, playing this one away from home. Can Liverpool bounce back with a win, having lost to Crystal Palace at home in their last EPL fixture? They are coming off a 1-0 win versus the Italian Atalanta, eliminated from Europe, however. So it should have been a bittersweet moment out of Europe, but getting the win. What says you for this game versus Fulham? How do you see Liverpool entering into this game? Can Fulham
Um,
create another upset?
so for me, similar outlook, how would what would Liverpool's mental state be coming into this one, having gotten beaten 3-0 in the first leg at home to Atalanta, losing to Crystal Palace on the weekend, and then getting a 1-0 win off of a penalty. Um, what is Liverpool's mental state coming into this? Again, we know Liverpool does have a game in hand, but again, if anything less than a win here means whatever hope they have of winning the league is also extinguished. Um, I think Liverpool have it in them to win. The question is, can they can they outscore their opponent, or can they keep them out? Because we know Liverpool has it in them to score. They're just not scoring off a lot from the countless chances that they produce, and
Yeah,
we
that
know that they
clinical that clinical finish is missing up front.
right. That I mean, to me, Liverpool has kind of struggled. And it's not a big struggle because they're still scoring a lot of goals. But ever since they sold Sadio Mane, they failed to replace his goal contribution. And had they kept him or had they replaced those goals, we might have been seeing a case where Liverpool might have won additional titles. Because I mean, if you can outscore your opponent, regardless of how bad you are at the back, you're still going to win. But at the moment,
Indeed, that's a possibility. I mean, to me, they have enough firepower in the team. It's just a matter of
I
taking the
don't think so.
chances.
I don't think
Yeah,
so.
firepower is there. It's just a
Oh,
matter of being clinical.
no, no,
Jota,
no.
I mean,
Don't get me
injuries as
wrong.
well played a role. So,
Don't get me wrong.
I mean, we're looking at it in hindsight, but
There are a lot of good attackers in the side. I mean, key among them, Salah. He has not looked his clinical best to me this season, but
again, you can't put much blame on a player like a Salah. Salah has
no,
been
no,
doing his
no.
job, and of course,
I'm
he
not.
got
I'm not.
injured.
I'm
Went
not
away to
blaming
the
Salah.
African Cup of Nations as well, and is still up there, rivaling the top goal scorers in the league. So, I mean, Salah is beyond reproach at this point in time. I mean, if you're looking
Not
at
blaming
culprits to
Salah.
blame, then you should be pointing fingers at the likes of a Darwin Núñez, for
Not
example,
blaming Salah
who
again. Not
has
blaming
been
Salah.
create a lot of chances but failing to finish. And we see Sir Cole popping up on the podcast. Welcome, Sir Cole. We are looking at Liverpool versus Fulham. I mean, let jump right in, Sir Cole. What's your take on that game? How do you see that one panning out after Liverpool, of course, being eliminated from Europe by Atalanta? 3-1 on aggregate.
Well, right now it's kind of hard to really read the atmosphere surrounding Liverpool. Right now, for this game, any car can play. Even though you will say, boy, all the eggs are now in one basket. The frame of mind may be one of more disappointment, you know, embracing the reality that their fate is now basically out of their hands. So I believe they also play away, which makes it a bit more tricky. Mind you, they have the pluses in terms of players returning from injury. That should help a bit. But I'm thinking a win, but it won't be an easy win for Liverpool. It won't be a walkover win, I think.
Indeed, indeed. I mean, from a mentality point of view, Sir Cole, I mean, watching the game versus Atalanta today, Klopp realized that, hey, this was a defeated cause and made the change. He brought off his key players. So to me, mentally, I mean, the team is in a good place in that you already accepted your fate that, hey, 3-0 down, it's going to be an uphill task. And of course, the game plan was get some early goals. But once Klopp saw that, hey, this game is away from us, he did not risk his key players, brought them off early, suggesting that he has an eye on the weekend as well. So mentally, I think the team should be fine. It's just a matter of execution at this point in time. We know Liverpool will create a lot of chances. It's a matter of will these players finally take their opportunity? And from a defensive point of view, can they keep Fulham out? I mean, I've been saying it all season. This team keeps giving up early goals, early chances. And if Fulham is clinical, as was Crystal Palace, then it may be lights out for this Liverpool team in terms of any chance mathematically eliminated from the title push, so to speak. But I mean, the ball is rolling and we'll see how it plays. But Christoph, I mean, how can Fulham hurt this team? Or can Fulham hurt this team?
Counter-attack. Low block, counter-attack. That's it. Liverpool create chances and shoot. Liverpool is having a very hard time keeping out goals at the moment. You just have to create chances and take them. Um, Liverpool will create chances. Liverpool is at the moment not likely to finish them. Um, Darwin Nunes, you know, good player, but a horrible finisher. Don't know, Andy Carroll 2.0. He's not going to he's not going to shake that until he starts scoring some more
That might
goals.
be a that might be a stretch there, Christoph. I mean, when you look at the statistics, Nunes is one of the top contributors in the league in terms of assists and goals. So I mean, a comparison to Andy Carroll is a big stretch. I mean, he does miss a lot of chances. Granted, that is
He misses a lot
statistically
of
proven.
easy
However,
chances.
when you look at his numbers in an overall context, you will see that he is definitely up there with the big boys. It's just unfortunate that, many of these chances missed are very high profile or what you could say have a high XG, a quality chance and of course being missed. But definitely, I mean, Nunes has proven his worth in this team. More is expected, but time is the master, and we'll see how things pan out in going forward. But Sir Cole, give us your take. What's your predicted scoreline for this game, Fulham versus Liverpool?
Well, just before I really go into the scoreline, I relates to Darwin Nunes. Yes, his in terms of his goal contributions, they have been up there in terms of the raw numbers, but in terms of the amount of chances that he actually gets, mind you, it pretty much like Haaland last season, where he was top of the charts for scoring, but yet still was the probably top the charts as well for big chances missed. So persons are taking note of the chances missed for Darwin versus the chances scored for other players. So he has become a victim of that, I think. But come next match day, I think he very well could redeem himself. Getting a goal. We see where today he didn't start, which suggests that likely come weekend he should start. I'm thinking a 2-0 Liverpool.
Oh, 2-0 Liverpool.
I'm thinking 2-0 Liverpool.
2-0 Liverpool. What says you on this one, Christoph?
2-2 draw.
2-2 draw. Definitely, I personally feel that Fulham will score. It's just a matter of how many, and whether or not one has faith in this Liverpool team in terms of getting the goals. For me, I think the downward spiral will continue in all honesty, and I am predicting another upset defeat for Liverpool, finally putting a final nail in Klopp's coffin and sending him off in terms of his early retirement or going into retirement or his final season at Liverpool. I think this will be another nail in that coffin. And I believe Fulham will come away 2-1 winners in this game. I believe Fulham has been playing some quality football as of late. they've been churning out a few good results, especially at home. And with the sort of form and potential fatigue, both mentally and physically, from their European exploits, a very fragile confidence, and of course the pressure of trying to get a win and keeping pace with Man City. I just feel it will be too much for this team. I saw the cracks in that 2-2 draw with Manchester United, and from there on it has been a downward spiral. To me, that was the game that broke the camel's back, that 2-2 draw, and from there it has been a downward trend for this Liverpool team, and I feel it will culminate here in this game in another defeat, pretty much ending any hopes of a title push for this team. But the ball is round, and we'll definitely be locked into this one to see how it plays out and to see what the final results are. But Sir Cole, on the agenda also, we have a big FA Cup semi-final. Chelsea versus Manchester City. Give us your take on that game, Sir Cole. How do you think that one will pan out? Man City
No,
having been pushed to extra time in Europe and penalty shootout, but yet coming away losers. What sort of mental state and physical state will that team be in? And can Chelsea take advantage of these circumstances?
well, up to a few weeks ago, it would have, I thought it would have been fairly straightforward in terms of easy win for Man City. However, this Chelsea team has proven that on their day they can get things right. And while City will probably still start as favourites, I don't think it will be a walkover over this Chelsea team. We see where the young Englishman has stepped in and has really taken the mantle on his shoulders. And Cole Palmer is really proving a point. And playing against his former club should add a bit of spice to that game. I don't think it will be a fairly easy or routine win for Man City in this one at all.
Indeed, Cole Palmer definitely should be having some back pain of late. He has been carrying this Chelsea team all season, Sir Cole, ever since his move from Manchester City, of all places. And last week he came up with 4 goals versus Everton in the EPL. And I mean, over the course of this season, Chelsea have had some success versus this Man City team as well. I believe they drew at home in their first game, which was fairly early in the season, and about midway they did get another good result versus Manchester City as well. So it seems as if Chelsea may very well have this Man City team's ticket, but it's hard for me to see Pep really letting another one slip, in all honesty. The quality is there, and this Chelsea team, to me, is still not yet a team. I mean, even last week, we saw squabbles over who should take what should have been a routine Cole Palmer penalty kick. We saw players fighting over the ball, and it has, yeah, it just goes to show the sort of indiscipline which exists in this Chelsea team. And much like that game versus Liverpool in the Carling Cup, which, that was probably Klopp's final trophy for Liverpool, they succumbed tactically after a while, even though they put up a valiant fight. And I think it might be another case of that in this game where they give a good account of themselves, but still end up on the losing end. But Christoph, what says you? How do you see this one panning out? Can Chelsea create an upset, or should this be another routine final for Man City?
I do expect Man City to make it to the final, but I think this will be one of those more difficult games for them. We have seen all season where Chelsea does go toe to toe with Man City. We saw that 4-all draw, a game that we expected Man City to dispatch them easily. Um, and then we saw a 1-all draw for the return leg later on in the season. So I'm expecting it to be a tight tactical battle. It's possible that Pep may have come up with a strategy that will defeat this Chelsea team quite easily, and we'll be seeing something like maybe a 3-1, 4-1. But I think there's a lot of fight in Pochettino, particularly, I think he just knows how to defeat or how to not defeat, but he knows how to handle Pep Guardiola and Man City, which is why we've seen the games being so close. If you recall his time at Tottenham, it was very similar. Him being one of the few managers that beat Man City while he was at Tottenham. So I'm expecting another tight contest. I'm expecting a good game from Cole Palmer as well. I think Man City is weak on the wings, and I think that should be what Chelsea is looking to exploit with the pace of Sterling and the finishing of Cole Palmer.
Indeed, as well as their physical exertions versus this Real Madrid team may have a role to play, especially if Chelsea can hold out and even push this one into extra time or even penalties. So I think this is a good time to face Man City, in all honesty. But as they say, a wounded dog is very dangerous as well, Sir Cole. So it is not beyond reason that Pep and his Man City boys may very well take out their frustrations of not making it into any further into Europe on this Chelsea team, which, as I said, can be quite indisciplined at times. So possibly, if Man City were to go ahead early, then this entire Chelsea team could possibly unravel before our very eyes. But lots to play for indeed. But Sir Cole, in terms of a score prediction for this one, what says you from a score point of view? Man City versus Chelsea, FA Cup semi-finals.
I'm thinking a draw at full time, one goal to decide in extra time. As to which side will fall on, I'm not sure. But for full time, I'm going with a draw.
But
Draw full time.
Sir Cole, the viewers and subscribers are here to hear your predictions. I mean, you seem to be sitting on the fence when it comes to these things. Draw at full time, not sure who will win. Come on, Sir Cole. But Christoph,
Draw
what
full
says
time.
you? Sir Cole is very cautious in his predictions. I mean, what says you in terms of a scoreline?
I'm going to say 3-2 win Man City.
I am with you on that, Christoph. I believe both teams will score, but I don't think it will be as high scoring at that. I'm gonna go with a traditional 2-1 victory for Man City. I believe Pep will get the boys back up and running, modern science, modern medicine, the quick healing power of that horse placenta circle, wrapping up De Bruyne and Haaland in some wool, getting Foden and Rodri fully hydrated, back up and running. And I think Man City should come away victors. And I would anticipate they should be facing Manchester United in the finals. I mean, Manchester United versus Coventry Circle. What says you for that one? That's the other semi-final in the FA Cup.
I really haven't seen Coventry play, but the fact that they have reached this far suggests that they're a respectable opponent. Mind you, they're not in the uh, league
Division.
in the top flight, but to have gotten this far, you must have been doing something well. And Manu, to be honest, has really been playing well for the last few weeks. So I don't think while not being favorites, they should consider themselves in with a shot at this one as well. I think if they could have chosen who to play, they probably would have chosen to play Manu. So I don't think they will go in and just sit back and hope for a draw and take the penalties. I think they will go in field thinking that yes, they can pull out a decent win from this one as well. And Manu really has not been impressing. So I will just be happy with a Manu win no matter how it comes.
Mm. So definitely anticipating a Manchester United win then circle.
I'm anticipating a Manu win. Yeah, we should win, but I don't think it will be an easy,
Any
a routine
predicted
win.
scoreline for that one?
I'm going with a hard fought 1-0.
Hard fought 1-0. What says you, Christoph? Manchester United versus Coventry. Could we see another upset in the FA Cup? Is the question.
Possibly. I
What's your
would.
predicted scoreline?
I don't have a predicted score. I expect Manchester United to win, but
So Manchester Derby, was this the same setup
Yeah,
last
man.
season?
yeah,
Same final last year.
that's it.
Oh, okay, okay. So it's a possible Manchester derby for the final, then circle. Man City versus Man U in the final, and Man City coming away winners again.
If Manu make it to the finals.
We cross that bridge when
Uh,
we
or
reach it.
if Man City makes it, but that that's why we play the game. The
You
game
never
isn't
know.
played on paper. We'll definitely have to watch the games or see how they play out. Chelsea, I'm sure, would not be coming into this one lying down, and another opportunity to really grab a piece of silverware. In fact, their last opportunity really to grab a piece of silverware. And of course, as you say, the Cinderella story of Coventry, will it continue? The hands of Manchester United, or will Ten Hag find some sort of reprieve and bring this team, which has been rather inconsistent, to another final, possibly taking another step towards a trophy versus whoever wins in the Man City Chelsea game? But such are these things. But Sir Cole, any final thoughts on this weekend's set of football action coming up?
Yeah, I think this weekend should add some, shed some more light as to where the trophy will end up. Still a lot to play for. Still very tight at the top, but how the teams rotate over the double games coming up, I think, will determine where the trophy goes. A team, a
Indeed.
team, team with a better squad depth and player utilities, what do you use the players,
Man
will be the
City.
team with the advantage coming out.
Definitely, definitely lots to play for. Still, lots up for grab, lots of point on showcase. Christoph, any final words?
I kind of agree with Sir Cole. This weekend will be potentially the final weekend for Arsenal and Liverpool to keep themselves in the title race because, as we know, if they drop any points, it's over. I already think it's over. I think Man City won't drop any points. I think it's done. But let's see if these teams, Liverpool and Arsenal, have the belief, have the know-how to continue and push on for the remainder of the season.
Yes, indeed. Couldn't have said it better. It will definitely be a test of the mentality that these teams have. And the managers will have to earn their money, in preparing for these two fixtures coming up, having felt that bitter taste of disappointment in the European competitions and now having to lift themselves up, knowing that anything other than a win, then they are fully out of another competition as well. So it will definitely be a big test for Liverpool, for Arsenal, and having the opportunity to put some pressure on Man City, who are in action over there in the FA Cup and not playing any EPL football on the weekend. But there you have it, viewers and subscribers. Sir Cole, Christoph, I'd just like to thank you again for coming through and really sharing your thoughts and your opinions with us. Of course, viewers and subscribers, thanks again for logging in. Please remember to share, subscribe, and of course leave a comment. Give us your prediction. Who do you think will make it into the FA Cup final? Will it be Man City? Will it be Man U final again, or will there be some upset? Will the Cinderella story of Coventry continue? Let us know. Let us know in the comment section. But until next time, this is Rafa signing off.